Hey everyone! Hi. Welcome back to Vibe with Pride. I'm your host, Jay Rodriguez. This is our monthly chat show where I get to interview different LGBTQIA plus artists who are making an impact in music. So thankful that San Diego Pride is making this happen again. Big thanks to Tito's Vodka. This week's guest, Alek Sandar, is an internationally known musician, artist, songwriter, you name it, he does it. He's literally a global citizen who has done everything from acting to modeling and writing songs for some of the biggest artists in the world. Today, we're lucky enough to have him join us. With that, let's get into this month's Vibe with Pride. All right, it's time to chat with the man of the hour, the gentleman who is a global citizen and a chart-topping artist. I actually have just been listening to his music for a couple weeks now, getting ready for this interview. I can't wait to introduce him to some of you who he might be new to. So please welcome Alek Sandar. What's up, Alek?
Hey, so good to see you. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
I love everything about what you're serving right now, from the hair to the chair to it's good. You're giving a full vibe. I love it.
I'm currently having the pink hair, which was a very spontaneous thing of mine. And then I thought, pink hair, pink chair, blue background, blue robe. This is my home in New York here in Chelsea in Nomad, my bohemian little pad. So I thought I'm not going to change for you. I'm just going to show you the way I am at home in New York.
I love that. Well, you're in New York now, but you actually grew up in Bulgaria and you started playing piano at 5 years old. So where did that love for music stem from?
Oh, good question. You know what? It stems from my grandmother who taught me how to play the piano when I was 6 or 5. And she was also the reason why my dad started being an opera singer when he was young. So my dad is an opera singer, still works as an opera singer. So my grandmother was actually the one who basically made all of us go into music.
Yeah, I love that. And by the time you were 17, though, you had already taken on at least over 30 roles as an actor. And, I'm currently in New York City right now, where my career started at age 18, my first big Broadway show leading in. And I feel like theater gave me a sense of professionalism that TV film people notice and like, oh, you're a theater person. So when you started performing outside the theater, did you find that your training as a theater actor kind of helped you in other areas?
Yeah, that I've almost exclusively been as an actor on stage in theaters. So it started very early with TV when I was 5, 6, 7, but that was when I was in Bulgaria. But then we moved to Germany at the age of 8, and in Germany, I was not on TV because we were in a smaller city, and over there we had the theater. So I started, while I was a teenager, I had actual education as a actor. Like a training, like a 4-year class, improvisation and acting. And with that came a couple of roles that I had in the theater. Those are mostly acting, but I also did some singing. When I was younger, my voice was, like every child's voice was like high up there. And I was singing opera along with my dad. So there's quite a few operas in the world where the children roles are usually performed by sopranos, by women, but if you have a child that sings very well, like me back in the day, those were performed by me. So I also performed, in all over Germany, and festivals, and opera festivals, and classical music festivals with my dad when I was younger for music. And then I did acting when I was a teenager because the voice started mutating. so I wasn't singing that well anymore. And then I moved to acting basically, but I've only done acting on stage. I haven't really been doing acting on the camera. I don't think I have. Maybe some small things here and there, but nothing major.
I love that. And you actually started even your own label at an early age. This is also during the time you were writing hit songs for international artists. So how did that come about for you?
I'm gonna go back to where I said my grandma, right? When I was 5, 6, when I was 7, my dad brought a synthesizer, like a keyboard from the West, because we were living in communist Bulgaria or post-communist Bulgaria back then. So when he brought the synthesizer, I started producing music at the age of 7 already, like doing little beats, saving them on the keyboard, playing on top of them, like coming up with melodies. So when I was a teenager, the computers came in. I'm 34, so I was not born into a world of social media and all of that. So the computers were coming into all of us. And then I was one of the first ones to get those production music software. Back then it was Cakewalk, Sonar, Cubase, which still exists today. So I was working with those. And then when I was 18, 19, I moved to Berlin to pursue my studies. But at the same time, I was already songwriting and producing for certain smaller artists where I was doing beats with this software. And then when I was about 19, 20, I decided to create my own label with my partner, Jonathan, who is, by the way, marrying tomorrow. Jonathan!
Congrats, Jonathan.
Woo!
Congratulations.
He's marrying a guy. So I'm very happy for them in Germany. But anyway, together we started this label, Suspended Sounds Records, because my first big star that I actually produced for after the small little project was, his name is Alex as well, but he's not Alex. His name is Oscar Loya. He used to work with Alex, who was a big producer in the 90s, and they represented Germany in the Eurovision Song Contest with Rita Fontees back in, I don't know the year, 2007, 8, 9, sometime around then. And for this Oscar Loya, for this artist, I did a whole album.
Wow.
And when we had the whole album scheduled, we were like, why do we not release it ourselves? So we released it through that label. And then with that, other projects came along. I was then working for Universal Music. There was another artist, which is called Frank Music. If you guys know Frank Music, the song that I did for him was with Far East Movement, which had this huge hit, like a G6, like 12 years ago or something,
Yep.
10 years ago. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
so
I got it.
Going on, this is when I created the label. I was only 20 years old, but by the way, a label is not very difficult to create. You only have to have projects that are coming out and have the distribution. So that's what we did back then. And until today, I'm releasing some of my projects through that label.
That's incredible. And I know that somewhere in there you found yourself on VIP Brother, which is the Bulgarian version of Big Brother. So my question to you is, at that point you were already pretty established, you had a career going for yourself, but now you're going into a unit, a show where your cameras are on you 24/7 pretty much, and you're living with a group of strangers. So what was that like for you?
You know what the funny thing is? When I was little, when I was like 10 years old, or the very first Big Brother of the whole world was happening, I think it was the second one. The first one was in Holland, Netherlands. The second one was in Germany. And I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, one day, maybe I'm going to be in this show. This is such a crazy show, because it was the first reality TV show that ever appeared. Back then, there was no such genre like now. Reality TV is everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
Back then, this was the first reality TV show ever. And so, there I am, 15 years later, being kind of famous in my country because of the stuff that I was doing, because of also video clips that I was doing for my own music that we'll talk about a little later, I hope.
Yeah, we will.
So I was already, a little bit of a name. And then when they put me in that Big Brother house, it was almost like a little dream come true. To be honest, I also thought...
Yeah, actually, please be honest. Go ahead, spill all the tea.
Well, first I was like, maybe it's a little bit of a trash TV, because it depends from country to country. In Germany, when I was raised, it's very much trash TV, even though I would do it there too. In UK,
Germany, if you're watching, Alek would like to place his submission to be a cast member. Please get him in the house.
Well, you know what I would do it, even in the UK, where it's the biggest trash TV out of all the countries. I would do it because it is a mind game. It is an actual mind game. They actually really put you in a house, 24/7, no matter if you're a celebrity or not. You're in this house, you cannot leave that house. There's cameras on every single corner, and there's nothing you can do to escape or to stop it. You've signed a contract. It's not like, oh, I'm a celebrity, I have special. No, this is it. It's the same game for everybody. And that's the funny and interesting thing, because of course you're getting paid as a celebrity, by the way, which is a good thing, because the normal version doesn't pay. So
Yeah.
that was obviously a very good incentive.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is that it's an actual mind game. It's a manipulation game between you and the crew of the TV show, between you and Big Brother. Because Big Brother is not a staged actor who is reading something off a script. It's happening in real life. When there's a TV show and they're, for example, trying to eliminate somebody from the show, or to, to create something, it's happening live. You're talking to Big Brother in real time. So it's an actual game. It's not scripted. It's not staged. It's manipulated, which
Yeah.
is different. It's
Yes.
manipulated. So a lot of the things that you see on the camera are the result of Big Brother maybe tuning in at some point from the microphones and be like, from the speakers, and be like, this weekly session that you're doing right now is not going to bring any viewership. So if you don't do a better job, we're going to cut your budget. You're not going to have anything to eat. And then you start to fight. And then the camera starts showing how you fight. So they're not showing what led to the fight. They're not showing how Big Brother manipulated you, but they're
Right.
showing the fight. But it's different from being staged. I think a lot of reality TV shows nowadays are being staged, where
Sure.
you know what's going to happen. Big Brother is very different. And that's the reason why I really liked it. And that's the reason why I would always go back if they invite me any country. I'm
That
down.
sounds like some kind of Squid Game nonsense to me. I would be so scared. All right. So listen, it's time to go a little deeper with Alex. So let's do our deep dive right now. All right, Alex. So you identify as bisexual, and you chose to celebrate that in your music video for your song, Me, You, and the Moon. I love the video. What made you decide to include that piece in the video? And did you get any pushback from that?
Me, you, and the moon. Which piece? Which piece? You mean the video piece?
The video component, it features you. We can pull up some video of it right now, you guys.
The bisexual component, right?
Yeah, like it's sensual, but I didn't see it as overtly sexual. It was sensual to me, but you are being tenderly caressed by men and women. So I was wondering if anyone, told you not to do it, or how, because I'm sure it was celebrated, but did you get any pushback of people having?
Well, you know what? I get a lot of. I was involved in a scandal again, which was not my intention with this video, because this video, as you saw, this video is like peaceful, sexy, not too not like sexual, like, and this is probably my 12th, 10th, 11th music video. So I've been doing so many music videos over the years, and I thought, you know what? I want to see a video where it's normal to have sexy girls, sexy guys, everybody with each other, spreading the message of love, spreading the message of no gender, like it doesn't matter what gender, spreading the message of love and positivity. So that was the idea. And I worked together with a very big name on this who did the visuals. His name is Dov Shore. Dov Shore is in California, where San Diego Pride. Hey, and he does the Harper's Bazaar covers of the magazine.
Wow.
So I worked with him for the visuals. We got some amazing models that he helped find, and I'm very happy with how everything looks like. By the way, the remixes are coming out of this song with an re-edited music video, which is even better than the original. But here I go with here comes the bad part. No, so I did all of that, good intentions, good video, everything happy, and I had not for a single moment did I think that my own label, not the one that I created, but the major label that I'm working in Bulgaria, they're called Facing the Sun. I'm going to call them out right now. I've done it publicly already many times. They thought it was too gay for them. Let that motherfucker sink in. Let that sink in. How can a pop music label say that a song or a video are too gay, especially if they look like what you just saw?
Mm-hmm.
With all the beautiful girls in there, with all
It's crazy. If you were female and it was girls doing it to girls, a non-issue. It's always a non-issue.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with this video. I wanted to basically take what girls are doing with girls and implement it with guys as well. Just be like a happy new, like 21 project, 2021. You know, we live in 2021. Like, do something that's contemporary. It works right
Let's
now.
talk about contemporary though, because you really are pushing envelopes in your music video for your song P.O.R.N. You feature Amanda Lepore. You are a fixture in the New York City nightlife scene. It makes me miss it. The Suzanne Barsh parties and all the kind of amazing energy that cities like New York City's possess. You did this great song and video, P.O.R.N. And you debuted it and premiered it on Pornhub, which is pretty progressive. So talk to me a little bit about the song, how it came to be, and why you decided to premiere it on Pornhub.
So yes, this was actually an interesting idea we had back then with my former manager, Gary Salzman, who died of coronavirus last year. Rest in peace. The song came out 5 years ago, and we had the idea, because it's called P.O.R.N, P-O-R-N, we had the idea to premiere it on Pornhub. And it was actually, yeah, as you said, it was something that nobody had ever done before at that point, to release a music video on Pornhub. And it was actually viral on Pornhub for the first couple of days when it went online. That's why on YouTube, when it came out a little later, the fans had already seen it, so it didn't have that much crazy attention on YouTube. But on Pornhub, it was brand new, and there was a lot of comments under it being like, why is there no porn? You know, like, where's the sex? But it was also a good and innovative way to get it to more people, and also to get it to people who would not necessarily follow me or follow Amanda, who is in the video. She's a featured artist.
And I love this because there's a lyric. First of all, the imagery and stuff. Also, the song lyrics and the imagery all talk really about the comment section, the likes, and the sort of validation or whatever. And there's this lyric you put in there that really spoke to me. There's this part that kind of says, "They say and I say," and to me, I took that it's like no matter what the comments say, like I'm not going to be governed by likes, views, or comments of other people.
Wow, you're one of the few people who actually got that part as well, because the other things are very obvious when I'm talking about likes. And it's actually also very interesting because this was written 5 years ago. You know, Instagram was barely out yet. TikTok was not even out there. And I'm singing stuff like, you're selling off your body, you're selling off your treasure, your life is porn. And by porn, I mean the likes. The how we're selling us on social media. Everything needs to be perfect. Look at my breasts, look at my abs. Look at my Instagram filter. Look at my face. Give me more likes. Give me more views. Give me more streams. You know, it's actually porn. We actually, and what happened now? We have OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so still such a contemporary, current topic, even though it's like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that even if you play it now, it's going to be like, oh, whoa, this is like really what's going on right now.
Let's talk about that, because it feels like the world is slowly inching toward a place of stopping the sex shaming. Even in entertainment, it feels like we're making strides of acceptance of people's sexuality and their expression of their sexuality and their bodies. But you're a global citizen, meaning you live in a bunch of different places all over the world. And I have friends and colleagues that have OnlyFans and stuff. Do you think as a global society that we are becoming more accepting?
Absolutely. And I can tell you this this is also part why I wanted to do the music video where I'm openly bisexual, because I'm feeling that the people around the world are getting more and more open and embracing with all the things I just said, less sexual shaming, slut shaming, more confident with their sexuality, and also more confident with exploring things outside of your own sexuality. Only because you might have had an encounter with the same gender, no matter if you're female or male, it doesn't make you necessarily gay or lesbian. You know, people are fine with trying things out. People are fine with experimenting. And I see this globally because I also have, you know, a connection to the younger generation, because a lot of them listen to my music. And for example, in Bulgaria or in Germany, I see that a lot of the 19, 20, 21 years old are just way more open-minded and embracing of all of that than we were back in the day. I wish when I was in high school, I could have grown up and be publicly open with my bisexuality, instead of thinking. Back then, I thought everything is black and white. I didn't even think there might be an option to be bisexual. When I was a teenager, 14, 15, I was in love with a girl. I was with her for 3 years, but at the same time, I also was like kind of attracted by men in a way. So I was like, am I gay? Am I lying to myself? Maybe I am gay. Maybe I'm straight. What am I? But the right now, and I think it's also because of social media. So social media is not only a tumor, it's not only bad for us. It also helped a lot of people from an early stage to see that there is another world that's different than the heteronormative world that the society historically is just implementing on all of us and all of our brains. So I
Yeah.
think through social media, a lot of these young people are also fine with, with their other side, no matter where on the spectrum they are, no matter if they're like fully straight or fully gay or somewhere in the middle, they're fine with the fact that there's so many other options. And just to sum it up, I think that's an important thought that I had. I think if we grow up in a world globally where the teenagers from young on will know that when they're big, when they grow up, they have all options to be straight, to be gay, to be bisexual, to be pansexual, to be asexual, and all of this is okay, I think then we will have such a more peaceful world. There will be so much less conflict. There'll be less toxic masculinity, less xenophobia, homophobia, and that does not only cover and affect the gays or the bisexuals or the LGBT people, that actually affects everybody because you don't have to be gay in order to face a case of homophobia. Somebody can just say you're gay and then you're already like being discriminated even if you're not. So it affects
Yeah.
everybody. It affects everybody.
Well, that first of all, yes. I wanna move on because I like to play this little game, which is called "What's Your Vibe?" But with you, I have so many questions about your aesthetic and your music videos. So let's get into what's your vibe. All right, now look, Alec, you've been called the male Lady Gaga in the press. I saw some references to that, and we really see it in your Creature in Me video. We can pull some imagery of that up. What was your creative inspiration when you were, kind of forming the Creature in Me video? Because a lot of your videos are like cinematography gold, where they're just taking you somewhere else on a journey.
Thank you for this. This has been kind of like a trademark of mine from the very beginning of my career. That my music videos have always turned out to be very well. I have a very high, like, sense for quality. So I keep working, I keep casting, I keep like working on something until it like reaches the level where I think it deserves. And Creature in Me was one of the very first, actually my first music video. And with all those visuals, this came out in 2011, I think, or
Baby,
12.
look at the little baby Alec.
It's been 10 years since we shot this, pretty much 10 years exactly. So when this came out in Bulgaria back then, nobody had a video like this. Nobody. The market was very different, very different music, different visuals. So when the Creature in Me thing came out, the tabloids and the newspaper, this is how I actually like became famous at first. They called me the male Lady Gaga, even though that was not intended. I was basically just showing my friends in New York. This is when I started going out in New York. I moved to New York 2009 first. I was modeling back then, so I already had like landed a few bigger jobs with Tommy Hilfiger and other bigger names. So there was a small few little articles about me in newspapers. But when this music video came out with that nightlife scene that I'm showing in New York, that's when really I got like national coverage on TV, on Good Morning shows, on newspapers and magazines, and that's when this like term male Lady Gaga started like occurring. But this was also just in the first years. Later on, they didn't call me male Lady Gaga anymore. But going back to this, it's very funny because you mentioned Suzanne Barge, and we also spoke about Amanda Lepore earlier, and they
By the
are
way,
from
that's
that
Suzanne
scene.
Barsh. For those of you watching it any place other than New York, and maybe you don't know New York City nightlife scene, Suzanne Barsh is legendary for throwing some of the most elaborate, over the top, come as you are, and whatever expression that is, sparkly parties that there are. So when we say Suzanne Barsh, in case that's going over your head, that's who she is.
Yes, and this is the reason why I created Creature in Me. This was the inspiration behind it. I came to New York with all my expectations, all my dreams, all my childhood dream to live in New York. And when I got to New York, I quickly had was lucky to like go into these parties, the legendary Greenhouse party that at the end was shut down because Chris Brown had a fight there. If you remember that club.
Uh-huh.
Greenhouse, now it's happening at the top of the standard. There's a lot of parties, but Suzanne Barge was the reason why I was so comfortable with exploring my inner artist, like exploring the creature in me. That's exactly what it's about. So back then, 10 years ago, all I did was I invited all my friends who were in that nightlife scene, with all their costumes, with all their unique magic, to shoot them, to record them in the music video, and to make a statement. And that's what came across in the video. That's what it basically started and like hijacked, not hijacked, what's the word? Like pushed my career.
Yeah, it really excites you. Well, let's talk about, because you mentioned the style and the aesthetic and all those kind of things. The creativity that I saw in Hey Mommy, that video to me was everything. There's elements of you being, it feels like the desert, and then it's like you being in the 300 movie. We can play some footage of that as you explain it, but Hey Mommy is one of my favorite videos of yours because I just love the imagery and the vibe.
Thank you. So for Hey Mommy, we have also very interesting costumes, but one of the most interesting costumes that we did, so first of all, it was all shot in Bulgaria. It looks like a desert, but it's actually a mine where you're mining oil. And a lot of the background is also animated. So a lot of the background in real life does not really look like that, but we animated a lot of it. What's really interesting are the costumes that you see. My costume, this one here, for example, those costumes were done by a friend of mine who's also Bulgarian, who got featured in Vogue for these specific costume, for this collection, because this collection was his master thesis in a very renowned school. I believe it's in Maastricht in the Netherlands. Very renowned, one of the top 3 fashion schools.
Yeah,
in the
the
world.
looks are insane. They are
So
so
when
good.
I saw this on my own Facebook feed, I was like, "What? You did that? I need to record this for my music. I need to have this for my music video." And it was the best decision, because up until this day, even though the video is 4 years old, until this day, people still stop me in the streets of Bulgaria, or when they see me, they're like, "Oh my God, that video! It's out of this world."
It's
And
so
it is out of
good.
this
And
world.
by the way, if you have any questions for Alek, please throw them into the comment section. We're going to get to them at the end of this interview. Let's move on to the final vibe. Go ahead and hit that sounder. All right, Alek, during the pandemic, you did not sit still. You kept working, you kept creating. You released Keep Waiting and Terra during the pandemic. So talk to me a little bit about what it was like to create art during a global pandemic.
Yeah, so Terra is exactly about the pandemic, and Terra was written exactly when we had this, like, the biggest lockdowns that we had, March, April last year. Remember when the world was basically crying? And that's when I decided to record and to make a song where you can feel this cry, where you can feel the pain that the world was going through. And it's called Terra because Terra means world. It means planet, it means Earth.
Yeah.
So I'm basically singing out to the world. And the good thing and the funny thing is, so for that track, the videos that we just saw, they were recorded in Los Angeles and New York, exactly when everything was shut off and cut off, when the streets were empty, when there was nobody on the streets, and you feel this kind of like sadness and also a little bit of nostalgia for the past or for a new future.
Yes.
So you feel that like mixed element, this emotion, both in the sound and in the lyrics when you listen to the actual song, but also when you look at the visuals. That's exactly what I was trying to convey. I was trying to convey that feeling in the big city with the tall buildings, tall structures. We're so advanced as a civilization. We're so as advanced as we've never been before. Yet we're so lonely. Yet we're so isolated. So sad, and so not knowing what's going on, so disconnected. Even though we're in the big metropolis and there's all these high rises around us, we're so disconnected. And that's why you see me in the city alone. There's nobody else in the whole video. It's only me, and it's only streets of New York, streets of some metropolis, like some buildings, and there's cars, but there's no other human being to be seen. And I'm actually very proud with this project, particularly because it will remain as like as a part of who we were, as later in time, in 10, 20, 30 years from now, when we look back at it, very similar to P.O.R.N. Like, how P.O.R.N. describes P.O.R.N. This is the video, the song, how it describes like social media and a part of our life when the likes and everything started coming. The same way Terra will always remind us and be reminiscent of this sadness and this like tragedy that happened to all of us, this pandemic.
Yeah, it's a window into like this moment that we're living and slowly coming out of safely. I want to talk a
Yes,
little bit about
yes.
some news. You have some exciting news around your song Feels Like Paradise, something about Friday and this song. What can you tell us?
So Feels Like Paradise is a collaboration between me and the big Dutch producers Vaster and Gallardo. They actually, I don't exactly know how they found a demo of mine that I did 4 years ago, something that I did so many years ago and I almost forgot about it. But it was actually a very good song that I liked, one of my favorite demos that I did. But you know what? Nobody ever picked it up. You know how it is in music. For example, Rihanna's biggest hit, Umbrella, was actually first made for Britney Spears, but she rejected it. So the
Wow.
same way, the similar scenario happened to Paradise, which is my newest single that just came out about 2 weeks ago, which is, by the way, doing great on Spotify. Find
Wow.
me there. Find Vosta Gallardo there. It's doing great there. We're having a lot of streams, which is great. A lot of playlists picked it up. So the same thing happened to this song, where first, like, I couldn't find anybody to do it with, and it just stayed there for some time. And then one day, I get a call from my new manager, Zach Young from Baseline, who tells me Vosta Gallardo made a beat for that. And when I heard it, it was the exact like the vibe and the sound that I was imagining for that song. So it was such a
Wow.
happy and good thing that this song finally came to fruition.
We're going to get to some audience questions right now. We got a couple coming in. So first question is, do you have any upcoming live performances?
This is a very important question because ever since the pandemic, I have not performed. So I hope that we will be putting something together. I just got back to New York a couple of days ago. And I already spoke to Suzanne Barch. We mentioned her so many times today. But I have performed for her many times at her legendary party. So I hope that now, with me being back in the city, you will find me in New York. And about next year, I'm gonna have performances in Bulgaria. So I don't know if anyone is there, but
if people have miles, you can use your miles to go to Bulgaria. Let's get to the next,
exactly.
Next audience question. As an international artist, do you have a favorite place to perform or to shoot music videos?
Can you say it again?
As an international artist, do you have a favorite place to perform or shoot your music videos?
My music videos and my performances are separate. For the music videos, I like to just come up with a concept and just everything is totally tailored to the song. So it's very different. Some of them are outdoor, some of them are indoor, some of them have a specific location in mind. And I do everything, with the director together. And some other music videos, for example, like Keep Waiting, everything is done by an external company or by a label or by a sponsor. And I just deliver myself and I just perform.
Yeah, got it.
Whereas for performances, one of my best performances are the biggest ones. As an artist, you want to play to a big audience. So there was a very important, like, a performance that's always going to stay in my heart, which was when I was singing my song "Say It to Love Me." That's a song from 2014, I believe, and I had the honor of performing it with a whole orchestra. With a whole symphonic orchestra behind me. So we rehearsed for like a couple of months. Somebody had to make the notes. Somebody had to arrange the whole thing because you cannot just take a song and make it into an orchestra song. You know?
Yeah.
But that was a huge honor to hear something that you have written, that you have composed, directed and played live by an orchestra. And that happened in Germany in 2 concerts in Hamburg. So this is a place where I prefer to perform, like big audiences like that. In New York, I've had 2 big performances over the years that I would love to perform again. They were Webster Hall, which closed, by the way, but now opened again, so it's back in business. Webster Hall and Terminal 5, which is a very big venue as well.
Oh my gosh, I used to be such a mover and shaker in the city and know where to go, and now I feel like I'm just literally watching Netflix every night in my hotel room. All right, let me ask you another question. This one is coming from an audience member who asks, coming to the West Coast anytime soon?
Yes, I'm coming to the West Coast. I'm coming to the West Coast because I actually kind of live there. Here comes a big secret of mine. Sorry?
Avita is like this night on Fridays that has music artists. It's light Suzanne Barch. It's like a light version of that.
You have to tell me about it.
Yeah. I'll connect you offline and you can talk about
I
it.
have a connection to LA. I have a connection to LA because here comes something that a lot of people don't know about me. I was married for 5 years, and it was marriage for love with my beautiful ex-wife. And she used to live in LA. So since then, I was actually not only bisexual, but bi-coastal, going between
Wow.
New York and
I'm trying
LA.
to be bi-coastal right now. That's kind of my goal because I'm working so much in New York, but I live in Los Angeles. So we'll see if I can get some pointers from you on how to be a better global citizen. I'm going to go into this question because I think it's interesting. Due to your international travel, did you have that culture shock in 2009 when you moved to New York City? Like, was
Mm.
it so wildly different that you're like, whoa, this is really different here? People are different.
Yes, but it's not only a positive culture shock. I mean, obviously, the first thing when everybody comes to New York, if you've never been to a city of this magnitude, is just like, whoa, what's going on? And I remember the first moment I was actually walking down with Jonathan, who is married tomorrow, who is the other founder of Splendid Sounds Records, walking down 7th Avenue. We slowly enter Times Square, and it was like this, what the hell is going on here? So of course I had that, but then I also had another culture shock in New York, which is when you start living here for a little longer, and then you realize how so many of the things are falling apart. The
Mhm.
windows, the heating system, the traffic around on the streets is really not up to the standard of like a developed society. It's more like the traffic you would expect in like in India or something like this. Like
Yeah,
people.
there are definitely some moments in my trip now where I'm aware of the populace. I'm aware of how much work it must take to keep the city clean. Let's go to our final question. By the way, that question was from Janelle. Hey, Janelle. I'm going to wrap things up here by Alec. Give us your socials, where the kids should follow you, where they should subscribe, where they should listen on Spotify. Just let them know how to get at you.
Yeah, there's so many social media platforms today, so I hope I'm not going to forget any. But most importantly, obviously, TikTok. Sorry, this is not true. I'm not so big on TikTok. Instagram. Find me on Instagram. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok. I love TikTok, but at the same time, it's also like, so I am on TikTok. I do stuff there. You will find me with the same name, which is Alek with a K _ Sandar, which is, by the way, my name, Alexander. You know,
Yes.
Alexander, but in 2 words, Alexander. And you can find me with the same spelling on OnlyFans, which is a new endeavor that I started. You can find
Oh.
me. Yes, I'm on OnlyFans, and it's not too much of a sexual account. But if you want to go down the sexual route, you will also find a second account of mine, which is the account of my penis.
Honestly, kudos to you, sir.
So,
Kudos to
so
you.
I have 2 accounts. One is my
Okay.
personal, one is my Cox account. Feel free to
Right.
find both. You can find them very easily. And of course, find me on YouTube, where I hope I'll be able to also upload at least a snippet of this interview and tag you all. Find me on YouTube, same name everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, OnlyFans, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere.
I love it. Thank you so much, Alec. All right, that's it for us here on Vibe with Pride. Next month, we're going to be chatting with a non-binary artist who actually had a single top the Christian charts. Their name is Semler, and you won't want to miss that interview. Our special thanks to San Diego Pride, Tito's Vodka, Zach at Baseline for making this possible. I'm Jay Rodriguez, reminding you, no matter how you vibe, make sure you vibe with pride. See you next time.